Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors, America's only daily outdoor TV show. Your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. I'm glad you're here this morning. We've got a great show lined up, but first, our weather brought to us by Haney Technical Center. Before I get into weather, I want to thank Stan Kirkland and Karen Paramore for taking the show yesterday. What a delight to have them on. You know, such a good feeling. I can go out of town, Gail and I can do some things we need to do with visiting family, and I can turn over some people who really just keeps it up here at this level. So I appreciate the job they did, some really good information. So let's move on with our weather. High today, 74, low tonight, 54. Water temperature right at 68.7 degrees, so it did drop a little bit. And I think we've got a pretty good steady drop coming ahead of us now. Take a look at our river readings brought to us by Sandhill Seafood up on Highway 77, just north of Bozeman School. Good fresh seafood there every day. I love the catfish. Looking at Apalachicola, Bluntstown, it's at a 1.5 this morning. It's steady all weekend. If you're getting ready for Thanksgiving weekend, you don't want to hunt all weekend, river fishing is going to be good. The Choctawhatchee at Caryville is at a 4.7, and it's steady too. So again, both rivers in good shape, and won't be as crowded because so many people be in the woods during Thanksgiving. Tide chart brought to us by Kent Forest Lawn. We're looking at some good tides today. Strong tides all week, really. We're looking at a low tide at 9:02 this morning, and a high tide at 10:20 tonight. Marine forecast, if you're on a lake or river or out in the Gulf, it's going to be north-northeast at about 10 to 15. So that's a pretty steady breeze right there. So try to get out of the wind if you're doing some fishing and outdoor stuff today. Take a break. We'll be back with our special guest. Well, welcome back, folks, and welcome to our special guest, a guy familiar to a lot of you folks up in our northern viewing area, Chef Johnny McDaniel. Good morning.
Morning, sir.
Well, I should say retired chef now.
Yeah, that's right.
Listen, we have been talking, and we just did make it on air in time. You had to get up early this morning, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Got before the chickens did.
You did. Now, y'all, if you've been in this area any amount of time, you've known Johnny McDaniel. He's been a sheriff of Jackson County. He was a sheriff for
28 years.
28 years, and you saw him on TV all the time because they kept you pretty busy, didn't you?
Yes, they did.
But what has happened now, a young lady, Rebecca Dodson, and the sheriff are sitting down and wrote a book called The High Sheriff.
Yeah.
And this is a fascinating book, and you know how I love to talk about books and all, and I love having sheriffs. I've had Frank McKeithen on the show. I've had Lavelle Pitts on the show, and it's just, and now we got our third sheriff, and this is the High Sheriff.
Yes, sir.
Well, listen, let's get started because I don't want to do the talking. I want you to do a lot of talking. Born in Bascom, Florida.
That's right.
Everybody knows we're Bascom, and we got to clear this up right away. Did you know Faye Dunaway from Bascom?
Yes, we did.
And she fox hunted or something with y'all.
Yeah, we were such small kids at that time.
That's cool.
I don't know that Faye would even remember me.
If you don't remember Faye Dunaway, how about Bonnie and Clyde?
Yeah.
We don't want to talk about her. So tell us about, first of all, how did you enjoy doing the book?
Well, it was very much a pleasure to me to be able to do it. I reminisced. Rebecca would have me divide my life in different segments, and then I would record that and give that information to her, and then that's how it went from there.
Well, I was looking at, growing up, if you grew up in the Florida Panhandle, so many of us who grew up in the same way in a small town, we got creeks and rivers and the woods and all, and you grew up in that area, in the Jackson County area.
Yes, sir. Right. I was born in Bascom and raised in a little place called Magnolia, which is where the Interstate 10 is on Bluntstown Highway.
Yep, right there, 71. Yep.
That's right. I was raised right there.
And I was reading you did all kinds of stuff in the outdoors growing up.
Oh, boy.
You loved to fish, didn't you?
We did anything from frog gigging with little broom handles to we had an old bateau that my granddaddy had. We kept it sunk.
That was interesting.
Kept it sunk so that when we take it up and get ready to use it, then we do it. And then once a year we'd have to take it to granddaddy's and then pitch the boards between it, to keep it from leaking.
Put that pitch and tar in it. That's so good. And we kept it submerged. My granddad did the same thing. Kept it submerged on the oak lot, and so nobody would come down there and get it. All right, so you grew up, and then you played ball over there in Jackson County.
And played football for Mariana High School.
We talked about the Thanksgiving Classic, which is a good time because it usually be on a Wednesday night before Thanksgiving. The Marianna Quincy High School football game was a classic.
It was some kind of ball games, always a tight one, real tight.
And we're talking about guys off these teams that I know y'all had 3 or 4 guys that went on to the NFL.
That's right.
We had guys go all over the place for Florida and Georgia and FSU and all. So that was some tremendous athletes back in those days. It was hard-nosed.
Different era of time.
Yeah, and we didn't know anything about concussions, anything like that, because if we got knocked out, Coach wanted us to go back in.
Well, if it was severe enough, he'd let you go over to the hospital, they'd check you out, bring you back, and get back.
That was crazy, wasn't it? Yeah. And I go to a lot of high school football. I have a nephew over there playing at Bluntstown now, and good luck to them Friday night. And they could take these mandated water breaks, and I just about rolled over laughing. But if our coach could you imagine our coaches back in those days, it's mandated water break? Are y'all crazy?
I never heard of such stuff.
I never heard of that. All right, well, listen, went on up, and once you got out of school and all, what'd you do after you got out of school?
Well, first I went off into the Navy for a little while, came back and went to work with a Seaboard Finance Company. No, I first started out with Nifty Cleaners, Nifty Laundry Cleaners, and then Southern Laundry and Cleaners, and then went into the insurance business, tried to make a living selling insurance. And then from that I went into AFCO Financial Services, and then from there into law enforcement.
Okay, decided you saw the light, you want to go into law enforcement.
I had an opportunity to go into it, and at that time I didn't have the love nor the desire for it as it developed. It's something that I grew into.
I know you had a stellar career and all that with Jackson County. The sheriffs in those days were special men to me. I always respected them and all. We had such a great relationship because they worked so hard in keeping basically law and order in the area. They really, and it wasn't an 8 to 5 job, was it?
Oh, Lord, no.
The bad guys, they don't have a schedule.
There is no schedule.
Okay. We're going to take a break, and we got some great pictures to show you from this book and all. We're going to talk more about it. So we'll be right back with Sheriff McDaniel. Okay, well, our guest today, Sheriff Johnny McDaniel, retired sheriff. He and his Rebecca Dodson. We're talking about a Donaldson family, which we all knew. What a great book here, The High Sheriff. And just coming out, we're going to talk about it. And what a great career and all you had in law enforcement. And how'd you get in law enforcement?
Mr. Ronnie Craven was the sheriff or elect, and I was in the finance business in West Palm Beach, Florida. And some of his friends and my friends were the same. And he called me and wanted to know if I'd come up and do all the books and take care of administrative affairs. And that's so I did, and that's how I got started, and then I just fell in love with it.
And it went on from there.
Yes, sir.
And then you ran for sheriff in 1980?
1980. I started out in June, July campaigning, and did my old door-to-door knocking on doors. And
grassroots.
Grassroots. And I was fortunate enough to win, and I took over as sheriff in January of 1981. I went to work under the previous sheriff, the sheriff that I defeated, in November and December.
And you had law enforcement in the background because you said worked in the police department there in Sneeze.
3.5 years there.
Yeah, in Sneeze and all.
I was chief deputy for Ronnie Craven for about 3 years.
Yeah. That was during the 70s and all? How was that time in law enforcement? I want to say time, I know you're talking about way back in the Prohibition time, you had different eras and all in American history and all. The 70s, what was the biggest challenge as a law officer in the 70s?
Budgets was the hardest thing we had to deal with.
Yeah.
When we got elected, the budget was $211,000, and that was to run the jail, the court systems, and law enforcement.
Wow.
It'd be 943 square miles and 2 deputies on at night.
Oh, my goodness.
If you had a ride, it was your ride. Whatever it was.
Oh, my goodness. So I guess that was, you were shorthanded a lot of times. Now, going into the 80s now, as you took office and all, again, I guess it was the biggest challenge right then, was that budget? To get everything
Still, the challenge for us was we were under budgeted for the things that we needed. In fact, we used to even buy used highway patrol cars. They'd be 100,000 miles on them, take them over to ACI, and they'd go through them and fix them mechanically and put paint jobs on them, and we put them on the road again.
Yeah.
And that's how we did things.
That's the Apalachicola Correctional Institute. And I guess those guys that worked on those cars, they'd probably ridden in them before, so they probably, they probably knew.
They may be familiar.
I know that car. Well, now, when you took over, how many deputies did you have working for you?
There was about 8 deputies, and then about 6 or 8 correctional officers, and 2 secretaries, and that was just about the whole department.
You have a part of your legacy was your honesty and the hard working that you did and all, but also when you took over, you had a tragedy in your family. It
started out with December the 15th. I was, as I said, I was on the transition till January when I officially took office, and I got called in the middle of the night, and they said, we've got an armed robbery and a fellow's been shot. And I said, I'll respond, so I did. And I arrived on the scene. I had just a little small walk-in. The county being so large, you couldn't continue to communicate. Got there and it found out it was my dad. And he died about 7 o'clock that night.
Wow. I know that's a tough time for you and your family.
Shot in the head right above the right ear.
Oh man, talking about and that sort of started off. That was something I guess burdened you down for a while. And
yeah.
And anytime we lose our dad and all, but especially in those circumstances as law enforcement. So, but you were able to get through it and continue on and do an outstanding job.
Thank you, sir.
And as I look back, talking about communication and all, y'all had to walk and talk. Communication's changed a lot now, hasn't it?
God, yes.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, we had the old 30 megahertz megacycles, and we've gone now to repeater systems, and it's a different ball game.
Yeah. Well, did you? That's the thing about you said you get up at midnight and all. And you were always on call. I guess you were always. You get. I know your deputies were not supposed to call you until it was. Unless it was something serious. But it seemed like it was something serious all the time.
That's why the book is named what it is, High Sheriff. So many times they'd have a bad situation, and the individuals involved said, "I want the High Sheriff. I want the High Sheriff here." So that's how they came up with the book, High Sheriff.
All throughout American history, back to the 1800s and all, there were sheriffs and all, and there were a lot of deputies. They were called sheriff, and if they had a badge, they were called a sheriff. But the man in charge was the High Sheriff, and they wanted a High Sheriff there.
That's right.
All throughout American history, and it's really fascinating how that term came about. And every district and every county had somebody who was the High Sheriff.
Who what?
Everybody had a High Sheriff, and that was you. So,
one for each county.
Yeah, one for each county. I guess you got in on the tail end of most of the moonshining and bootlegging.
We did have moonshining. We had some of that. We had a little of all of it. We busted up some stills, and beverage department all call and say, "We've been working on a still. We got one located. Come on, go with us. We're gonna go bust up the steel," and we go with them and so forth.
Yeah.
We didn't interfere with what they was doing to give them a chance to do what had to be done to stop the illegal alcohol.
Yeah. Looking back too, in my time period and all, I know from alcohol, marijuana was the first drug and all, the marijuana fields, and that came in, of course, in our lifetime in the late 60s, 70s, where a lot of marijuana, and y'all had to do survey. I guess that was a challenge too, wasn't it, the marijuana fields? And
943 square miles, and it's a large rural area. They would be planting it everywhere, and it got to be, we had to get in the air. Had to get a hold of an old airplane and fly around. Then finally the government gave us some old helicopters, and we transitioned over to them, and that was a godsend.
Okay, I'm going to read one quote right here out of the book. Okay, this is from Sheriff McDaniel. Okay. Let no victims go to rest until we have done our best. Work today just like tomorrow was election day. The job of law enforcement is to take away from the problem, not add to it. If it is important enough for a citizen to call us, you will call the citizen back. The sheriff's job is to be everything to everybody. John McDaniel, that's a good statement.
That's the whole time that I was there. That's the way we believed in it.
That was a great philosophy. We're going to take our final break, come back with these Okay, welcome back. Sitting with co-host Sheriff Johnny McDaniel. We got so much to talk about. We're gonna have to. You might have to come back on. We don't get finished. Okay.
Okay.
Hey, fishing game times, real quick. Brought to us by Blue Water Outrigger from Port St. Joe. We're looking at 2:30 to 4:30 this morning, and this afternoon 2:54 to 4:54. Let's look at these pictures real quick. Tell us about this picture right here.
That was an old crib that was outside of my great-grandmother's house on the interstate out there where I was raised.
At Magnolia.
And the family gave it to me, and I just put my door in it and windows and that sort of stuff, and just put it up for the family.
That's special. That's special. All right. Now, this reminds me of me and my brother. Goodness gracious.
That's cap pistol time.
That's cool.
That'd get you killed today.
Well, now, yeah, but that's a different era. Back
It's
then,
a different time.
You're copying Johnny Mac Brown and all
that's
those,
right.
John Wayne and all those. Yeah. What about this group?
Oh, that's a bunch of hunters from the word go. They just about made turkey hunting extinct in Jackson County, and dove couldn't stand it.
I bet y'all had some great dove shoots over there.
Ooh, we used to have the best.
I want to come and film y'all one time. Y'all still dove hunt?
I don't.
Okay, quickly. You're a pilot, right?
Yes, sir. Yes,
and
sir.
So cool.
That's just an air show I went to, and that's a Pitts in the background, an acrobatic aircraft.
Did you fly it?
No. I want mine to stay right side up.
Oh, I like it. Yeah, I know.
And we do a lot of cookouts, and it was normal. Chief Palmer was a dear friend of mine, and he and his wife were always putting on big cookouts for people, fish fries and stuff.
Awesome.
They were two of the best cooks in the country.
Awesome. Yeah, all these books, all these pictures in the book. Okay, this is working with.
That's a reenactment of the Battle of Mariana.
Yeah. Yep. Good story. On a horse.
Oh yeah, we had John Rossi trained horses, and that horse right there is Mr. Mighty Twist. Mm-hmm. He won the World Congress back to back in '82 and '83.
Oh my goodness!
And I used him, and I won first place over there.
Well, congratulations! Again, all these stories in the book. Okay, you go from horse to a tractor.
My grandson and we out there at the house on my farm, and a little tractor he wants to ride around on.
Are you still farming a little bit?
No, I quit. There's a picture of me. He's wanting to feed the birds.
Okay, well, these are familiar situations.
That's my son who died in 2004.
Okay.
And he loved fishing. See his boat behind there?
He loved to fish. Yeah, I said I boat. Uh-huh.
That's my place on the river. I have a little house, a cottage.
You don't have to tell me where's that, because I know that's just Polar River.
Yes, sir.
You just look at it and tell that's just Polar River.
Yes,
it's
sir.
a special place, isn't it?
And I got a nice dock out there, so you can sit out and look out across the water.
Oh, awesome.
And that's my daughter. She and I made an Alaskan cruise.
Oh, how sweet. That is so neat. And then, of course, the book itself, The High Sheriff.
Yes, sir.
And folks, this book's almost 500 pages and all. And I'm looking forward. I've read some of it to my Christmas. What a great Christmas present! They can get them where now?
They get it Amazon. You can order them from Amazon, or you can get them at the Jackson County Times in Mariana, Florida. It's a newspaper that they have there.
And Sheriff McDaniel brought me some sauce here. This is actually got Johnny Mac sauce.
Yes, sir.
What do we call it? So this is.
It's a dipping sauce for meat. If you're a meat eater and you like anything venison, turkey.
Ooh, again, we might do this for Thanksgiving. In fact, I am. For Thanksgiving, we're doing it with our family and all. And closing out your career as a sheriff, I know this is all over the news and all, so a lot of y'all know the situation and all. You started your career with a tragedy of losing your dad, and then toward the end. Tell us what happened.
We had a man and his alibi that had filed for insurance claim on his wife that he had murdered. And we could not actually prove it because of the alibi that he had with him. And the insurance company, the judge, ruled that the insurance company did not have to pay him, paid his sister-in-law. And that upset him very bad. It was seemed like $250,000. So he took it out on me and my wife and my officer. And he came over there and followed my wife into the house. And as she got to the house, she talked to me on the little handheld radio. And I told her, don't get out, just roll your window down and talk to him. She did. They shot the windows out and shot her and drug her out. And then, of course, we called for an officer to come, and he responded. They killed him. and then me and my crew got there and we killed them. There was 2 of them.
Wow. And that was an amazing story and all, and what a heartbreaking. I know, but I know you've recovered, but you never actually do recover from something like that.
You never do, and it's just like horrible things that happen, suicides and things like. You don't ever get over those things in the family, and it's just part of life.
And it was a special era too, during the time you were sheriff and all, and the time you grew up and all. And all those stories are in this book and all. And it's just all sheriffs are special, but Sheriff McDaniel has been through things with his family and all. It just makes it maybe a notch or two above special. And we appreciate all you've done in law enforcement to protect not people just of Jackson County, but Panhandle, because they all help each other out a lot. The sheriffs.
We work with one another at whatever. We didn't know the boundaries were there.
Yeah. And I know you had some situations in Gaston County. A lot of those deputies and sheriffs, I knew that you worked with them and all.
Yes.
So
WA.
And then even down in Bay County, Washington County.
Frank McKeithen and Lavelle Pitts and all of them.
Yeah. And again, there's so many good stories out of this book and all. And like I said, I've read some of it. I'm going to read the rest of it. You go to Amazon.com and get it, and we'll try to find a place down here so you can put it so people can get it down here or something.
That'd be wonderful.
But they go up in Jackson County at the newspaper office up there.
Yes, sir.
And again, it's going to make a great present and all. Okay, I'll tell you what. We got about 30 seconds left. Anything you want to say in closing? Or, I know Rebecca Dawson did a very good job.
She did. I'd just like to thank the people in the Tri-County area. All of us right in this area, we're all the same, and we work together and live together, and we worship our God together, and that's what's so wonderful.
Special people in Florida.
You better believe that.
And and that's why we talk about doing these things together and all, and helping each other out, and we do a lot of that. So
that's right.
Thank you for coming down.
My pleasure, sir. Thank you,
folks,
sir.
y'all get this book, and we'll have to talk some more about this. We got all kinds of stuff we have to
Okay, good.
All right, folks, we got to wrap it up today. I want y'all to have a happy and great Thanksgiving with your family and enjoy the time together. And make sure, as always, do something good for your fellow man. Help them out. Enjoy the great outdoors, and God bless.
Thanks for watching America's only daily outdoor TV show, Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester, featuring hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.